Hello, welcome everyone to the Gauntlet here on Fightful Overbooked. Alex McCarthy is here. I was gonna do a big, elaborate intro, but we got beef. I don't know why you're here, except for I like you. I don't like admitting it, but I do. And so I invited you on this show, and I got a special topic for you as well, Alex McCarthy, from Talk Sport, from Inside the Ropes clips, from a million other outlets. I feel like. How you doing, Alex?
I'm good, man. I'm good, thank you. Wasn't invited to the wedding. That's fine.
I didn't think you would come to the wedding.
Well, listen, I thought you had that Fightful money where you could, ship me over.
You kidding me? Jimmy Van didn't even come to the wedding. I tried to get him to pay for the whole damn thing.
Well, there's your answer. That's why I didn't come, probably. He knew what was going to go down. Congratulations, by the way. First time we've been on air since then. Yes. Private messages be damned. Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy.
It's what a busy time it's been. I've been up to my eyes in my new job with the Daily Mail, which many people will have noticed means wrestling took a back seat. But I did interview Logan Paul last week. And that's just gone online, and now it's on Inside the Ropes as well. So still doing a bit of wrestling bits, still keeping it there. It's like my my guilty pleasure at this point.
You are always welcome on this show or any show that I do here on Overbooked, because I don't have many friends, Alex McCarthy, and despite our beef, you actually seem to tolerate me.
Well, I mean, we haven't got into the Lakers yet. I know you're going to take great joy in that at some stage.
They won last night against the Nuggets. They picked up their first victory of the season against Russell Westbrook sat, and LeBron dropped 50, and they ended up winning. It's recorded before the game, so let's see how much this comes true.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, LeBron's still going for 40 each game at the moment. 38-year-old LeBron, we're like, please drop those numbers. Man, that's a whole different story. But thank you for having me. I have a feeling you've brought me on this show for Roman since I was very forcefully made to acknowledge him. And now you're making me do it again for an hour on your YouTube show.
It's true. Guys, this is the Gauntlet. If you don't know how it works, we have a specific topic. And in this case, it is Roman Reigns Universal title matches. We're not going through all of them because he's actually had a lot of title defenses. I don't know if people realize. I mean, he's had the belt for over 2 years. You'd think he'd defend it every now and again, but I think he gets a bad rap of Roman never defends the title. It's he's got a lot in these 2 years. I've picked out 10. We're going to go through them. I'm going to throw 2 at Alex. He's going to pick his favorite of the 2. I'm going to throw another one at him until we've run through them all, and he crowns a winner of his favorite Roman Reigns title match. Not his favorite, the best, whichever he feels is the best match. That could be match quality. It could be story dependent. It could be the feeling it gave you in that moment, Alex McCarthy. It could be anything like that. And it is Roman Reigns title defenses. And it is because you had to acknowledge Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle.
Do you know what's fun? Go on.
I do want to ask you about that moment. What are you feeling in that moment, Alex?
I was kind of mad. To be honest. I thought at first, it was funny. I was just whatever. I didn't think people would take it so seriously. I should have been.
People are jerks.
I know. I should have been a lot wiser to that, because I tweeted, thinking it was just fairly amusing, and people were like, "God, journalists are a joke." I thought, "Oh, fuck you." It was just so silly. But yeah, it was really weird, because lots of people text me, even SB3 text me saying was that a bit? Did you know? And honestly, I didn't know. When they didn't say anyone who was going to be in the press conference. All we knew is that Triple H was going to do a post show presser, and I didn't actually know either until we got there and you saw the setup that it was going to be streamed by WWE, to all their channels and stuff. I thought it was going to be a la AEW, I guess, where you get to, just a bit of access after the show. So they came in, they said, who wants to ask questions? And I thought it was going to be Triple H. So I was like, yep, sure, me. A whole bunch of us did. So they go, okay, you guys sit in the first 2 rows. Okay, cool. As Roman's coming in, a runner, that's what I'm going to call them, comes to me and he's like, okay, you're next. And I was like, what? I hadn't even didn't know what I was going to ask him, right? And he literally sits down, and then the camera's like on me, and there's a guy behind the camera like going, "Come on." Oh shit. So I just asked the first thing that I could think of, which still actually I don't think was a bad question given the hostile atmosphere and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it just felt like he didn't answer me for about 10 fucking years. And again, I didn't know what to do. I was just sitting there thinking, do I say something? Do I just wait this out? It was really awkward, intentionally, I guess. And then when he said acknowledge me or whatever, I was just like, yeah. Well, I was more saying, yeah, man. I thought it was a great performance, him and Drew. I acknowledge that shit, sure. I didn't think, people were going to think
Roman's in character, right?
Yeah.
Like Roman just wanted, because he just had this big match, and of course the crowd wasn't receptive to him and everything. And he is in character of like, he just wants his acknowledgement. And you're put in a no-win situation, because if you don't acknowledge him, then he's going to walk off anyway. And maybe you piss him off even more. And if you do acknowledge him, yes, idiots online are going to be like, oh, look at these fake journalists and stuff. And then you see the other side, like 24 hours later, people are ragging on journalists of like, why didn't you ask CM Punk and Tony Khan about this, and this? Because the All Out, you're in a no-win situation. I thought it was hilarious because I immediately messaged you. I was like, look at Alex McCarthy just starting shit, pissing off Roman Reigns. Because I think I'd call you an instigator earlier. Oh, you asked Jericho the question about the NXT. I was like, you're starting shit, McCarthy. And so I thought it was hilarious. Like, you were in a no-win situation. It's fucking pro wrestling. Roman Reigns is in his character doing his thing. What were you supposed to do there? Like, continue to hassle the guy? He was going to walk off regardless. It was just a matter of, were you going to say it or were you not?
Yeah, it was, I mean, and like, again, I was really just kind of like a nod. It wasn't as if I like went, "We the ones, baby!" Like it could have been a lot fucking worse.
They got like Sami Zayn dance on him.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
I didn't. Again, like, and anyone knows, I've never really taken myself too seriously. Anyway, like I know, I really didn't think again it was going to be, and I'll say a big deal. It was only like, I don't know, however many people on a tweet. It's not the end of the world, is it? But I did think, hang on a minute, like he's clearly in character. Like it doesn't really matter what I would have done.
Right.
Was what it was. So yeah, man, I would have loved to have been clued in a bit. I would have loved to have them said, Roman's come in, and or knew that I was going first. That would have been nice. But alas, I just think it's funny now. It's kind of
they just put you on the spot with it.
They really did.
It made you think on your feet. Anybody giving you shit, let me know. I'll fucking pump kick them because it's stupid. It's dumb to be mad about something like that. Like, whatever.
It is.
All right, Alex, let's start. Let's start with 2 Brock Lesnar matches. Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 38. This is when the titles were unified, the Universal title and the WWE Championship. And Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, SummerSlam 2022, Last Man Standing. Which one do you prefer? Which one was the better match?
So I was at the Mania 38 match. And given that was, to me, a really fun weekend, WrestleMania. Like, I don't know whether that's my nostalgia talking, but, there was just so many kind of high points that being there live felt great to watch. But Roman and Brock was not the apex of that weekend by a long, long way. It didn't feel like a monumentous moment, really. It was kind of just like, oh. Whereas the SummerSlam match, it's kind of like, it's akin to, Lesnar and Goldberg had loads, but really the car crash they had at 33 was the best. And I feel like with Roman and Brock, this was very similar. It was, it had ingenuity about it with the forklift and the ring lifting. And just the beautiful chaos actually suited both of them far, far better, in my opinion. And although, we should have been done and dusted with Brock and Roman by the time we got here, the way they did it actually made it palatable. And I would go as far as to say I actually enjoyed it. You could say out of this stretch, that was their best match. So it has to be the SummerSlam for me.
I feel like that's the best match they've had. I have a hard time remembering their like early few, but like the early Mania matches, the one where Seth cashed in was a good match, and then Seth cashed in, so that was very memorable by that point. But the last man standing match, and I hate the last man standing gimmick. I think it's very stupid, and it can lead to just too many slow points and setting up spots and everything. They did well with this. Yeah, the forklift, Roman tumbling out of the ring, Austin Theory coming down and just getting the shit kicked out of him was great as well. Yeah, Mania 38 it was fine, but you're right in that like we had Becky and Bianca, we had Cody, like that whole we had Austin the night before, like that was a big moment. That match did not feel like the tip top of Mania like you'd want it to. While this match did feel like, I hope, the culmination and the last time ever of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Never need to see it again.
No, we really don't. We really don't. It's done. And like you said, at least they did finish on what you could call a high point.
I would say so. I mean, the bar is lower for those two. It shouldn't be, but based on their actual feud and the actual matches they had, it's a little bit lower, and they definitely cleared the bar when it came to this match. It should be much higher given the stature of both men and the amount of matches that they've had.
Yeah, but we are where we are.
All right, so Roman Brock at SummerSlam defeats Roman Brock at WrestleMania 38. I'm going to throw Edge at Money in the Bank 2021 or Brock Lesnar SummerSlam Last Man Standing. Which do you prefer?
Brock Last Man Standing, did you just say? Yeah, yes. I'll take Edge. I'll take Edge on that one. Like most Edge matches since he's returned, it was long, really long, but it felt long. But like Edge matches, the culminating period, like the final third of the match, is always really good, and I felt that was the same here with Edge and Roman. Right decision as well, which felt good. Right, Roman to get a kind of big victory over a legend like Edge, and that was the other aspect of it, where we'd had the Danielson Edge Roman match at Mania, which I thought was excellent. Didn't know what we were really going to get out of the two of them, but again, I don't want to just repeat what you said, but to peddle that same thought process, Last Man Standing doesn't, that puts that match at an immediate disadvantage in this conversation, because again, the gimmick itself is so seldom successful that you can count. I think Jericho Triple H is one of my favorites, and that was in fucking 2000. So it's very difficult to pull that off convincingly. I'm gonna have to go Edge. Gonna have to.
Here's a fun fact for you, Alex. You said this match felt long. It's actually the longest match of Roman's title run at 33 minutes. So it was long.
It was long.
Yes. I actually prefer the Last Man Standing match. I think people know that like I'm not an Edge person by now, because his matches are just too long and overly dramatic. And
who's worse, Edge or Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant. It'll always be Kevin Durant. Edge has not actively done it except for have very long wrestling matches. Kevin Durant destroyed just like basketball fandom for me, and hopes of a potential title for me. Edge matches are they're too long. He tries to just have the epic, and I'm just like, not really feeling it. The closing stretch of this match is great. There were high points in this match. I would have been better served as like a 25-minute match, and I would have enjoyed it a lot more than a 33-minute match. But you have picked Edge wrongly.
Well, you know what? Edge blocked me on Twitter, so maybe I should reverse that.
What'd you do to piss off Edge?
I don't know. It was one of those like, like I saw loads of people saying, "Oh, Edge just blocked me. Edge just blocked me," and I thought, well, I'll give it a check. What, me? I've never said a bad word against Edge ever. Like. And then I posted a little clip where we had an interview and he was loving it. I thought, fuck you, Edge, you betrayer. I'll reverse the decision on that basis. I'm happy.
I don't think Edge has blocked me, and I've called him a little bitch like multiple times. I think I tagged him and called him a coward when he was doing like his WrestleMania call out thing. I think I called him a coward. It's like, you won't fight me. And I don't think he blocked me for that. So
there's a few people though that I don't know if they have that feature on from Twitter where it just auto blocks. But I feel like there's a couple of wrestlers like that who everyone goes, "Oh, they're blocking everyone," and then they can't just be going out of their way to sit there and block individually, surely.
They got social media team. All right,
Yeah.
you're going with Edge over the last man standing match. So now we have Edge at Money in the Bank against Kevin Owens at TLC. He had a series of matches with Owens. I've picked the TLC match from TLC 2020 into this one. Which do you prefer?
I mean, Edge loses anyway for reasons we've just established. He's out. He's on the outs. But I did love the Kevin Owens series. I'm not going to try and lie in front of people. I'm trying to remember exactly which one that was. Is that where they're backstage and they jump through the table, or no?
I think that was the last man standing match. The TLC match was, a TLC match. I remember distinctly of this match. Like the Uso comes down and helps Roman wins, and because Owens like had it. He had it looked like he was about to win. There's like this great moment where you can almost feel Kevin Owens winning. And then, he gets cost by I believe Jay. Jay has acknowledged Roman at this point. And then he doesn't win, and Roman ends up winning. I remember really loving this match. And I talked about it at the time of like, we kind of knew Roman's reign wasn't going to end this shortly. We kind of felt like, oh, he's in for like a pretty epic title reign here. But those two like made you believe that Kevin Owens had a chance in this match.
I mean, him and Kevin Owens had tremendous chemistry, especially the dynamic of Roman heel and Kevin babyface. Of course, we'd seen the reverse of that years before, but I just remember the other match, what we're talking about, the last man standing, where the handcuffs weren't really playing ball. Like I think most people remember that, but I just remember these two having amazing chemistry. And I thought it was a great way for Roman's title reign to kick off. Because if I'm not mistaken, it's really his first feud post the proper family angle with Jay. Yes. So, he needed to kind of assert himself on a match level because it'd been so story driven. Not that nobody thought Roman could work or anything, but it's just establishing the heel kind of presence as the champion, which is a thing, the way you work with the belt. So again, very happy to go with Kevin Owens there. I'd really, if you put me the other Kevin Owens match, we're in trouble. But both of them would go deep.
The last man standing match, I didn't like the stipulation. The handcuff fumbling was like an issue that just took out the end of the match. The match before that was really great, and then the handcuff thing, like kind of that did it. If you don't remember the TLC match, just for anybody listening, or you haven't seen the TLC match, go watch it. Like it is honestly a brilliant match. Maybe it loses a little bit luster because Roman has won and Owens is going to win. In that moment, though, they get you to bite. They get you to bite that Kevin Owens is winning this match. All right, so you've gone with Kevin Owens, TLC. Yes. Next up, Daniel Bryan and Edge at WrestleMania 37 or Kevin Owens TLC.
I'm going to go the Mania match. A lot of people were like, had conflicting opinions about Roman stacking them at the end, which I actually personally loved. I loved that he'd said it in the promo, but nobody actually thought he was going to literally stack the pair of them and get the 3 counts at WrestleMania. It was the most definitive, like if you had ever wondered if Roman was the guy or WWE were positioning him for the most dominant reign ever, he pins, what's Edge? 11-time world champion, Hall of Famer, Daniel Bryan Danielson, not arguably to me, but the best worker in the world. And Roman but it wasn't just that. Like the action that they had prior to that was a beautiful crescendo. A lot of people were moaning about adding Danielson to the match in the first place, right? It was, why is he being crowbarred in there? And then, and when he left, it was, that was stupid. Why did you put him in there? But still, it ended up benefiting Roman, really. The match quality, I prefer this to Edge Roman for what that's worth. I know that's earlier in the Gauntlet, but I think the addition of Danielson speaks for itself. When you watch what Edge and Roman did, and then you look at this WrestleMania match, it did far, far more for Roman. The action between the three of them was flowing, and you felt Roman was in danger because of the triple threat stipulation, the way that the other man can win it without Roman, and they played to that beautifully at some points. Some of the action on the outside as well was wonderfully violent, which I always love. To me, a lot of people talk about. I'm not mistaken, am I, saying that Bianca and Sasha are this Mania as well?
Yeah, they were night one.
So I felt that was actually the better. I still think that's an all-timer, that match.
Me too.
But lots of people were kind of, putting on the par, saying, oh man, this triple threat as well was one of the best triple threats in recent memory. So hopefully, I don't know whether that's lost against because Sasha and Bianca was the night before, or, we have so many great triple threats these days or whatever. But I do think it deserves its own place. And it did so much for Roman's reign at that time. Really powerful victory. Well done.
This did feel like an actual epic WrestleMania match. And remember, this is the first time WrestleMania is 2 nights in front of fans, because the night before, and it was only half stadium, but the year before was the Performance Center 2-night Mania. And this year, or this particular year, it was 2 nights in front of fans in Tampa. And yeah, Sasha and Bianca, I think that's an all-time match. And they stole the show night one. It's like, oh, they got a lot to live up to night two. And night two wasn't great. Like, no. It started with the Orton Fiend stuff, which like I popped for, but I understand why it wasn't everyone's cup of tea. Like, it wasn't a good show. Like, there was some disappointing stuff on there. I remember Rhea and Asuka was way more disappointing than I thought it was going to be. I thought that was going to be a good match. It was a little flat.
You really hoped that would be like Rhea's coming out thing. And
yeah.
It was just a match, wasn't it? Like,
And like, by the time we got to Roman, Bryan, and Edge, it's like, oh, like, this show hasn't been that great, especially compared to night one. And they managed to pick it up, turn it around, and really save things. And then you're right about the story of Edge being there, winning the Rumble, seeing like he was going to get the shot, him being a little bitch about things, Bryan getting inserted, which people weren't happy about. But I'm like you, of like, I'm never going to complain about Bryan being inserted into any match or any program ever, because that's the GOAT right there. And yeah, I thought they delivered a hell of a match at Mania 37. So they move on over Kevin Owens. I'm going to throw Matt Riddle, SmackDown 2022. This is actually Roman's first defense of the undisputed Universal Championship. He won it in April and didn't defend it for 2.5 months.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, for context, obviously a lot changed around, kind of in and around just before WrestleMania, right? Roman gets this new deal.
Yeah.
I was in London watching him. I wish I could remember exactly when. I want to say it was April or May. I can't remember when the tour was. I'll look it up. But it was when, you remember Lashley, like the rope broke on him and everyone was,
right, yes,
everyone was loving it. It was around that time, and Roman cut a promo after in the O2, and he was saying about how much he loves doing these shows, but he's not going to be doing as many, blah blah blah, and it felt like kind of a privilege to see him at that point. And he'd obviously got this new deal, and he's entered that kind of Brock Lesnar superstar status, which you can't hate on him for. It's great if you can get it, right? And he's earned it, so fair play to the man. But yeah, as far as like that goes, he wins the undisputed title, and a lot of people, I guess, were hoping for that to lead to bigger things. But instead, Roman's off TV a lot. You've got Bloodline on there without him most weeks. And the reason I mention that is because obviously they carry a lot of the slack to get us to this point where Roman ends up facing Riddle. Was meant to be Orton at SummerSlam. If you're, if reports to be believed, his back's all messed up. They jettison Riddle into the picture, and Riddle was actually hot though. He was doing really well, and I don't know whether, as is to Jeremy's point earlier on, anyone ever believes that Roman's going to drop it. Like, really, the trick for every Roman match at this point is how much can they help you buy in, because everybody realistically knows he ain't dropping it until we get close to the Rock situation at WrestleMania 40. And I think that was the same with Riddle. It was more like, okay, but this could be a kind of star-making match for Riddle. And it was a great match. It was good. It was really good. I think it was a few beats away from being great. I still think, if I think more fondly about Riddle's best work this year, Seth is fresh in the memory, perhaps recency bias. I don't know, but I'm not sure if this is what I would say, a career definer for him or anything like that. Whereas I would say the WrestleMania match for Roman was. So the Mania match wins.
Very fair. I prefer the Mania match as well. The Riddle match was honestly better than it had any right to be. And I'm not saying like Roman's a great worker. Riddle's a very good worker. But yeah, there was no real drama in it as far as who was going to win. Like no one was buying that. Yeah, Riddle. Like they did a decent enough job of kind of making you believe, but at the end of the day, no one was really believing Riddle was going to win. I do remember the ending where it looked like he murdered this man with a spear. That looked like it sucked for Riddle.
Yeah.
But it was a good like 15-minute television main event too. Like that's kind of my wheelhouse as well. Like a nice like 12 to 18-minute match. I'm always going to be a fan of. So yeah, it was a nice little TV main event. Good match. I want to throw it in there. But yeah, I'm with you on Mania 37 just being a much better match. Right, next one I'm gonna go with is Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli at WrestleMania Backlash against the WrestleMania 37 belt.
So again, this is Cesaro's just beaten Rollins, right? At WrestleMania. Is this? And he was on a real hot streak that a lot of people have been pining for a long time, myself included. And once he got to Roman, it was that same thing though. Like, I'll give you an example. When Rollins first became world champion, I do believe his first feud was with Kane, right? And you're thinking, Kane's not fucking beating him. Like, he's not. But on paper, down the road, or fans who maybe aren't as in the know as we are, it's a good name for Rollins to have overcome. And it's a bit like that when you go, okay, well, Roman coming off WrestleMania, there's a bit of a break till he fights whoever he's going to fight at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. And it's like, who can we plug in to this spot? Luckily for Cesaro, it was him. And he had deserved it and earned it, and he had the momentum behind him. And you could feel that in this matchup. But unfortunately, the one thing that detracts from this matchup is knowing anybody who knows WWE knows they were never going to put the belt on Cesaro, much less at the expense of Roman Reigns. As much as Brian, battled for Cesaro backstage, even that wasn't enough. So I really enjoyed it, and I thought Cesaro performed incredibly well in the main event as well, like shows that he belongs in those kind of matches. But ultimately, I think it's very hard to objectively judge just the match because the sour taste remains where what was it for? Like Cesaro showed what he could do and he was straight back down after that, basically. Yeah, not instantly, but he never really rose to that level again. It's just very frustrating all the way around. Even the ending to that was as well. The Mania match prevails.
I remember really loving the Cesaro match at the time. And you're right in that the thing that it hurts it is they weren't going with Cesaro. As much as I like Cesaro and he's definitely a guy who should have had a bigger opportunity in a singles role at some point, he wasn't going to be the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns. And the match was really good, but yeah, the lack of believability in Cesaro, not during the match, but in the build-up or just in a fan's mind of like, yeah, they ain't going with Cesaro. And then you're right about the aftermath, man. I think he lost to Seth a couple of times afterwards. So like the Mania win didn't look as strong. And it just felt like he was off television until he finally left the company. It ended up in AEW, but yeah, that match was very good though. Like if people don't remember that, go back and watch it. I'm with the Mania match as well, but that match was really good and was another, feather in Cesaro's cap of like, he can do this if given the opportunities. He just was never given those big singles opportunities in WWE. He's always just regulated as like the tag guy, which great at that too. Unfortunate that he wasn't given a bigger role there as a singles person.
Yeah, mate. I don't know. Maybe it's timing or something because, like, I definitely feel like there was a spell where and be it SmackDown or Raw when they had titles split. Okay, you've got one where your main guys got it, like Cena, Punk, or Triple H for whatever era we're talking about, And then you could use the other show, normally SmackDown, to go, hey, Jack Swagger, I wonder what you're like with the title. Or like, they experimented a little bit. And in an era like that, there might have been a time where they said, you know what, let's give it to Cesaro. But dethroning Roman was never going to happen. It was never going to happen.
So after no one really was running here, you kept the new entrant kept defeating the old entrant. Now WrestleMania 37 has gotten past Owens, TLC, Riddle, and SmackDown Cesaro. WrestleMania Backlash. Next up, John Cena, SummerSlam 2021 against WrestleMania 37. Which do you prefer, Alex McCarthy?
That's tight because I did like the Cena match. I really did. Again, I didn't, and I'm trying to check myself out here to like be as objective as possible, because I know for both of us, like we know Cena's not hanging around to be champ. Like we know that
there were, I mean, we more or less knew there were very small murmurings and maybe fantasy bookings of, do they put it on Cena? Because he was advertised, I think, for like a September show at like the Garden or something.
Yeah.
And I think people thought like, oh, what if they put the title on him and he could just parade it around promoting whatever, I guess it was Peacemaker at the time. And then he comes back and he drops the title on the Garden show. Like, what if they do that? There were fantasy booking ideas for that. Yeah, it was September 10th at the Garden. He just wrestled a dark match on that. And that was a SmackDown show. But it was, just
Remember
a couple of
doing
weeks.
That?
Yeah, that was so weird. Just here's John Cena dark match, not actually appearing on TV. Very weird. But there were murmurings because he'd already been advertised for this show before SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So there were murmurings that like, what if they put the title on Cena and then he drops it at the Garden?
See, I always thought that the stronger rumor was that they're going to have Roman beat everyone that basically beat The Rock, or he's going to beat every legend en route to The Rock. That's what seemed to be the more logical. You got Lesnar in there and Cena, and you go down the list until you get to The Rock. So I always, that's fair. Okay, I guess Cena, there was a remnant of a chance that he could win. It was a good match. It really. I mean, I can't remember what they were up there. It was like a B-level pay-per-view. They had their other one on, wasn't it? It was like No Mercy or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't even the main event. Like, they didn't even headline that show.
That was when Cena like desecrated him on the mic. And this time around, Roman, I remember in the build, was much more powerful and commanding and confident, and that shone in the match as well. I feel like it is a highlight and a showpiece, but I still think the Mania match actually trumps it in terms of what it did for Roman, the importance. You could make the argument that certainly Edge and Danielson for a period were just as popular as Cena has been. I'm not saying they're as big as stars. It's very hard to calibrate that. But I think Cena Reigns, did it deliver? Yeah, it was good. It was really good. I just, again, don't think it was like as impactful perhaps as the Mania match.
That's fair. I really like the Cena match from SummerSlam. I'm a big John Cena fan. What can I say? I did buy into maybe they do have Cena win here and then drop it. Look, you do this match, you do a rematch on Fox, like you build it up for 3 weeks. That's a huge number on Fox. Yeah. John Cena, Roman Reigns 2. So I bought into it a little bit of like, maybe Cena does win here and then drop it back. And then of course they did what they did with Cena. Didn't even appear on the Fox show. So I bought into that a little bit. I thought it was a good match. They told the story that they needed to tell, and I would lean Mania match as well. And that pains me to say as a John Cena fan, but that Mania match, I do think, I mean, we're talking about it now and giving it glowing praise right now. It feels like it was so long ago that people may have forgotten how good it was. And it's one of those where like, yeah, if you think that Roman hasn't had great matches during this, one, you're an idiot. But two, like people say, people say anything online.
Yeah.
They're like, Roman hasn't had a great match ever. But yeah, go back and watch this one, because this was a great match. All right, I got 3 more to throw at you. The first, maybe the second. but the big match against Jey Uso, I was gonna say the first big match, but maybe people will consider the Clash of Champions match the first big match. But Jey Uso, Hell in a Cell 2020. We just had the anniversary of this match.
Yeah, Hell in a Cell wins. To
Really?
me, easily.
Wow.
So when you first messaged me that this was going to be the topic, this is the first match that came to my mind. So that tells you everything you need to know about what I think of Roman's title run. I said this on Twitter not long ago, in actual fact, that I think the Jey Uso feud has been the best part of his title run. And that's not to say that it's been, an underwhelming 18 months, 2 years since. It's just that was so fucking good. Like we had in WWE in particular, we hadn't seen anything like that in such a long time. That was so layered and like believable and well, I don't want to say acted, but portrayed. Like Jey did amazing in that period of time. The main event Jey Uso stuff, and WWE actually did a really credible job of he was winning, man. Like he was winning a lot on SmackDown. he was getting wins over big guys. And then all of a sudden you had all these sections of people going, yeah, what if Jey did do it? People still now are saying like Jey should be the guy who dethrones him, right? And I know because we've got that dynamic at the moment of Sami and Jey where you don't quite know what's up with the bloodline. I still see people online saying Jey Uso should, if you did that tomorrow, right? When you tweet this out and say who should dethrone Roman Reigns, guarantee the replies there'll be at least like, I don't know, a percentage of them will be Jey Uso. And I think that speaks to the power of what this match had. So a lot of it, of course, it's not like 450s and all of this amazing stuff. It was a lot more dramatic. Roman's talking a lot, which is like the first time Roman's really done this in his career, where he's so vocal in a match. And he was kind of like demeaning Jey Uso. He just beating him down like a dog for most of the match. It's not even real, super offense or moveset. And then you've got the addition of Jimmy coming down, which kind of really adds to the drama. And Roman's about to, bring the chair down, bring the hammer down to really like put his brother out. And Jimmy says, yeah, come on, that's it now. Like throw the towel in. It was just, oh my God. I'm smiling thinking about it now. The drama was sensational. And I've established this before. I'm much more of a drama entertainment part of wrestling than look at that wrist lock. So yeah, to me, I thought it was masterful, and it not only what was that, when I've defended the WrestleMania during this, the WrestleMania 37 match during this running the gauntlet, one of my like recurring things has been, okay, but what it meant and what it did for Roman. This set the table for the tribal chief. This laid the groundwork for everything that would come after it. Like there has been no match more important to Roman's 2-year run, cementing his heel character, than this.
It certainly did do that. I can't argue with that, because like I say, if you want to consider this the first big match, that's fine. He did face Jey at Clash of Champions, and that was a big match great as well. Here's my knock on this match. At the time, I remember loving this match, and I love the drama. I love that it was something different, and you can't take away what it meant at the time, because they were in the Thunderdome still. And so you didn't have crowd reactions and everything, or you had the piped in or whatever. So like and a lot of wrestlers have said this, like they were told to like talk a little bit more and like give a little bit more sound to the match. And Roman and Jey obviously did a ton of that. And Roman did it at an extremely high level throughout his Thunderdome run. And that was what this match was. A lot of drama, a lot of acting in the world of WWE. Watching it back, and I did watch it back recently, that stuff does not hold up to me. I am just like, oh man, this is just too much. Like I can't deal with it. But I will say again, this is me now watching it back 2 years removed from everything. We've had crowds back for over a year now. Like everything's just a little bit different. At the time, I do really remember loving this match, praising it, and saying like, this is something different. This is like kind of what is needed right now, because you just do all these high spots when there's no crowd reaction. It feels a little flat out there. Yeah. So you mix it up with something like this, and it works. And when you have the story behind it, and this obviously had a huge story behind it, it works to an even higher level. I prefer Bryan and Edge at Mania just because I've seen this more recently. I think if I didn't watch it recently and I didn't almost take myself out of what I remember from that moment, I might go the Hell in a Cell match, but I almost ruined it for myself by watching it and being like, oh, yeah, at the time that was great. Now, man, thank God the Thunderdome's gone.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Jesus. But you're right. I guess like that's one of the most fond memories is the fact that the story was unfolding, right?
Yeah.
Like, and in WWE, like they hadn't done it at such an educated level in such a long time. You know, it's all fucking roll ups and standard heel turns and stuff. Like this was really well laid out stuff, and you got to remember as well, like the Roman heel turn being relatively fresh, people had pined for it for so long, for it to then be playing out in such an incredible way that people really couldn't, wrap their heads around or predict. It was just magical. It was like, again, you can't replicate that now. It's like, have you seen the Saw films?
The Saw film? No, I've not seen all of them. I've seen like 2 of them.
The first one, right? The very first one is legendary. The first time you watch it, that ending, you're like, fuck, never saw that coming, right? And again, if you watch it again, it's never going to be like that again because you know the story, you've seen it. I could make that equation with anything, like Seven, the end of that film. You know what's in the box, but it still is the first time you watch it, like, whoa. And I feel like that's kind of where this is at for Roman and all drama-driven matches like that, right? Because it is all about the story and the reveal and how it plays out in the next beat, the next chapter. And this Hell in a Cell really progressed the story on several beats that you don't usually get. So I can understand how it wouldn't age amazingly well, knowing that you know what's going to happen. But I still think if we're talking about greatest things in Roman's title reign, I think without that match, where the rest of it leads, is he just a generic heel, right? Is he just a bad guy? I think this actually laid the table for everything that we know him as now.
I'm interested if people watched at the time and have watched it back or haven't watched it back. If you watched at the time and haven't watched it back, what are your memories from it? And if you watched at the time and have watched it back, did your opinion on things change like it did for me? Because I'm with you. Like when you were in those moments, when you are present in those moments, you can't replicate that when you watch it back, because it's just, you're watching live compared to you're watching, oh, I saw what this happened. And it's great, the match and how it plays out and everything, but like when you're in the moment and living in it, it's like you made a good comparison with Saw and then Seven. Like when you know what's going to happen on some of this stuff, it's just not going to hold up to what actually happened in that moment. It could be like a sports game. Like I watched my team win the Stanley Cup. When it happened in the moment, it was a huge moment, great moment. And then I watched the highlights back and it's still great and everything, but you're not going to replicate the feeling of of everything that happened in that moment. It's like, okay, I know the goal is coming here. It's still great to watch, but it's not the same feeling as watching all that live and watching it unfold like that. And you're right that it did, like this feud did so much for Roman because the heel turn was fresh. How was it going to be? Because he had that match against like Braun Strowman, and then it was like, okay, sure, just beat Braun Strowman, whatever. And but the Jey Uso thing, for the lack of a better term, like it did set the table for the head of the table and everything that was going to come.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's an interesting discussion to have, full stop, that you just said, really. Like, what matches do, what do you look for in those matches that you go back and watch and love? Because a lot of the wrestling that I do, I just put on Raws from an era that I enjoy, like 90, like 97 to 02-ish is like, it's just because they're entertaining, right? And then there'll be some matches like Triple H and Stone Cold in the tag against Jericho and Benoit is like always electric, and it's because the atmosphere and the stuff. But like great matches you can watch again and again, right? When it comes to the high flying stuff, or there'll be an amazing feat and a crescendo from the crowd. Like you could still watch Rock Hogan now, right? And you'd be like, wow, like How? I was discussing this the other day with SB3 and Kenny. I was like, two of maybe my favorite matches of all time are that, and hear me out and take me serious here. Vince and Shane at WrestleMania 17, right? Like, it's not a great match,
right,
per se, but like they've got all these different elements of storytelling woven into it really well, like the Mick Foley being ostracized as commissioner. Trish Stratus is like the side bit for Vince McMahon, but she's also at odds with Stephanie McMahon, and as a part of that, Linda McMahon has been comatose, right? And then she rises up and gets like the biggest pop you'll ever fucking hear. It's like, and then on top of all of that, you've got like Shane McMahon getting WCW under Vince McMahon's nose. All of that they managed to actually weave into the match and make it meaningful, and it all works. Like, I don't think that gets enough credit, I've got to be honest. But and then you got the high spot at the end where Shane goes coast to coast, which like not a lot of people at that point had actually seen. I think he'd only done it once before. So like, it was. My point is, like, these things aren't necessarily like amazing, death-defying things, or just technical absolute masterclasses. It's just kind of what resonates with you and what moves you. And I feel like this Roman match wasn't all about indelible memories and kind of show stealing performances. It was all about the story and establishing Roman, and without it, I honestly can't imagine. He'd probably be a chicken shit hill that everyone else is in WWE.
For some reason, Sean Ross Sapp is here.
Oh,
not a live show. We're talking about Roman Reigns title matches. Sean,
so was I.
Were you?
Before I got on the air? Yeah, of course. I sit around and do that all day.
Oh, I mean,
why wouldn't
he's had a good run? 2 years, 2 years long now.
So I mentioned this on Twitter today, not to date this, but like,
this comes out tomorrow. You're fine.
In the 90s and 2000s, like, I don't think WCW had any year-long title reigns. Maybe Hogan at one point. There was like where he had that week break, but in WWE, there was Gilbert, who wasn't around, Trish, who got injured, and then Cena, who had his run. But other than that, there weren't like year-long title reigns. Now it feels like 4 or 5 times a year we're writing an article, or Jeremy's writing an article about this person has had a year-long title reign. Roman's had 2, and I'm like, yeah, there's still gas left in the tank here.
I remember when Kurt Angle had it in 2000, and I felt like he had it for about a year, when in actual fact he had it for like 6 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
At the time, I'm
shocked to hear it was that long.
Yeah, I think he had it from like the September, and then he lost it No Way Out before Mania. Like, but because every title reign back then was like, Mankind had it for fucking 3 weeks combined.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you look at all of those, and it felt like so long because no one else had it that long. If you actually tally up all the Rock's time as champion, it's really not that long.
Yeah.
It's really not. And he had 10 reigns.
I wonder how long Roman's will last, because like watching Raw this past week, they desperately need a world title on that show, like really, really badly. Now, granted, they were missing, there's no Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Naomi, Alexa, Asuka. The women's division is in shambles over there too, but there's no Kevin Owens, there's no Brock, there's no Bobby Lashley this past Monday. I'm just like, damn, they need something to fight for over there really badly.
They're trying with the U.S. title during Lashley's reign. They're trying with that. Now Seth has got it. No Kevin Owens on TV for the last few. He's on NXT, but no Kevin Owens on Raw is a weird choice given the way they built him up and turned him back into the prize fighter.
It's very weird. Goodbye.
Bye. Sean just runs in here I'm gonna pop in on his show here in a few minutes now. That's just what we do here. All right, two more.
Kevin Owens just popped up, by the way, to remind everyone how much he fucking hates JD McDonald.
Oh yeah, that ruled. That ruled.
I was watching JD's face as he was saying all that, and I was thinking, I don't think he's clued in,
Kevin Owens is just saying what needs to be said without saying it. You know when Owens is saying that stuff. All right, 2 more. Jey Uso, you've picked Hell in a Cell 2020.
Yeah.
The next one, the last WWE match of Daniel Bryan's career so far. Maybe it comes back around. Daniel Bryan, SmackDown, end of April, or Jey Uso, Hell in a Cell.
Oh, we've already established Jeremy. He's the GOAT. Fuck. I remember this being like so good that I was doubting that Bryan was really gone. I was like, no way.
Yes.
No way. That was so, again, you said it earlier for Riddle, for a TV match. It was fucking unbelievable, the action, like, and the drama. Bryan's so good. I would argue that, I don't know if I can. He might be Roman's best opponent. He really might. Like, they just didn't miss.
Everyone's best opponent.
Yeah. Well, that's very fair. Yeah. They just didn't miss, man. And the other thing with that is, obviously the added stipulation of Bryan leaving. Now, a lot of us knew that his contract was up, so it did kind of take away, but it has been known before that that's not exactly like a deal breaker. Look at CM Punk.
Right. We knew the contract was up, but it was like his SmackDown career. They did say that it was like, so people just talked themselves into, oh, well, he's just gonna be on Raw, or Bryan's just gonna go to NXT for whatever reason. Like, they definitely talked themselves into, okay, he might lose this match, but he'll just be on Raw, even if his contract is up.
Yeah. I don't think that sounds like a Louis Dangoor theory.
I don't think people were like 100% sold on, oh, Bryan's gonna lose and then he's gonna be in AEW. And I mean, look, he took the time off. He took the entire summer off, so it's not like it was immediate jump ship to AEW. He went away for a while after this match.
Yeah. Well, like you said, he really did kind of wrestle with it, didn't he? Laurinaitis being in the company, who at the time happily cuddled up with Mama Bella, and the thing with that, I remember on Twitter the day, because I'd interviewed Bryan early that year, just prior to the Mania match, and he had basically said, you know what, like, I'd quite like to be a dad. And he was like, I'm probably, he was debating whether he would do that and then maybe come back and what he was going to do with his time out. So I really didn't think he was going to go to AEW. I was like, I really think he's actually going to take some time away. And I tweeted as much. Then that day, somebody inboxed me saying, seriously, he's going to AEW. And I was like, no. And then all the reports came out literally about 2 hours later. I inboxed Sean, funny enough. It's a shame he's gone. And I said, like, is this for real? And he was like, literally just about to drop the report. I was like, oh, fuck. So there you go. And the Punk news was like, yeah, just around the corner as well. But yeah, back to the actual match. It was really wonderfully well done. If I'm not mistaken, the guillotine in the end is what puts Bryan to the sword, which is obviously a kind of admirable way to go out. Which again, it wasn't like Roman won, but it wasn't by any means like a burial, which I actually quite liked at the time. This is a better match, but I still think the Jey Uso match means or meant more.
Okay. I'm fine with your arguments on things. I will always lean towards Daniel Bryan. I'm with you on like this match. The Bryan match was much better than the Jey Uso match. Again, I will clarify. The Jey Uso match loses some luster having watched it back recently and seeing all the talking in the Thunderdome stuff. I mean, the Bryan match was in the Thunderdome, but there was a little less talking. It wasn't as story driven as the Jey Uso stuff. I mean, really nothing Roman has done has been as story driven as that stuff, especially in terms of the actual in-ring match. And the Bryan match is more of just a wrestling match and a guy fighting to win a title, a guy fighting for his career, while Roman is fighting to keep the title and fighting to destroy this man's life.
Get him out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a lot to it, and they played into it really well. I don't know. I guess the only way I could ever lean away from the Jey Uso thing is if there was a meaningful, like, you could make the argument if Drew had beaten Roman.
Well, let's get into it, Alex. You knew what the last one was going to be. Drew McIntyre, Clash at the Castle, Jey Uso, Hell in a Cell. What do you prefer?
Obviously, I was at Clash at the Castle. Everyone knows that now. But I again, as the match was unfolding, not just me, everyone in like the section, and obviously the arena was going fucking bananas from the get-go anyway, but everyone felt like something was happening. Do you know what I mean? The match, like the action was incredible. Like these guys have had a few great matches. I think the one they had at Survivor Series a couple of years ago was really good. 2020, is that right?
Yeah, 2020. Yeah,
that's a great match, right? Like Drew, I couldn't really afford to take a loss as like a new kind of blossoming champion, but they did it so well that he looked amazing and everyone won. Like that's always great when you can kind of build the match out that way. This time around, just with the atmosphere and the kind of the layout of the match, it really, really felt like shit. They're actually going to go with Drew here, and a lot of the arguments from around me was like, is SummerSlam '92 as memorable if Bret Hart wins?
right.
Like it wouldn't be, would it? It would just kind of be like, well, it was a good event, really. It's really remembered and celebrated because Davey wins, and that's the same thing with here. Everyone was like, you could feel that electricity, which is so rare in wrestling. I've been to dozens of pro wrestling events, particularly WWE, AEW, dozens, and seldom is it you get that electricity where someone feels like something is really happening, right? We had that there. So all the arguments that I made earlier in this show about feeling and what it means, it was right there. They had it, and then they fucked it with the finish, right? And it's not, I've got nothing against debuting Solo Sikoa. I think he's been great since he's been up. Big fan, makes all the sense in the world with the bloodline. It's been a great addition, helps Sammy and the Usos flush out as well. Very good. A screwy finish in that kind of matchup is such bullshit. It's like they should have just had Roman beat him if they were going to do that, right?
Yeah.
Break hearts, do something great for Roman. It was just, it made what I thought, like I did arguing with people all weekend in particular. This isn't like just a big house show. I was like, this is a big show. And then as it was unfolding, I was like, Dominic Hill turn, and Seth beating Riddle and all. And I was like, look, shit's happening here, right? This is great. And then they did that, which just made me feel like, this could have been such a monumental moment. And I just felt like they got it wrong. And that's not to say that I felt, before going into this, I was like, I don't really think Drew should be the guy, right? I didn't feel that. I still think whoever beats Roman should be your next, like, fucking poster boy, your next guy. But still, the way the match had gone, the atmosphere in the arena and the build-up that week, and I felt like it was the right moment. And if Drew had won, it would have been one that they remember for the ages. But unfortunately, I'm not sure that it is with the ending. And the ending is fucking important.
I think, unfortunately, this match, that's how it's going to be remembered, as a missed opportunity because of that ending. Because I'm with you. I've never been the super high on Drew McIntyre. It does good work. Like the character stuff just hasn't been for me. I've actually really loved him under Triple H, and now he's feuding with Cross, and that is what it is.
That's another thing.
But like he did hit him up so quick, because when he won, he became the number one contender. I was like, okay, Drew, like I understand this is a big show where it's at and everything. Maybe like, you can kind of talk yourself into it, but yeah, Drew probably isn't going to win that. Like the work they did to get him over and heat him up in the month before this match, I was like, fuck, like not only is this like the perfect environment for Drew to win, they've actually done enough where I'm convinced that Drew is going to win. Like he should win this match. And I didn't think I would be saying that about Drew McIntyre. And when he came out, he had the Broken Dreams back and everything. I was like, oh man, like the video packages they were doing, just everything they were doing. And even the wife was like, they can't fuck over Drew here. Like they're doing way too much. Like they are doing way too much here to have him lose. Like they just can't do that. And I was still very much of the belief, like, as much as I think this is the opportunity to do this for Drew, I'm also of the belief that Roman should not be losing right now because he has done such great work. The Sammy stuff is like really starting to pick up and everything. Like this probably isn't the moment, but man, they've built this so well that it almost feels impossible to deny him right here. And then they denied him. And I'm with you. If they were going to do it, just have Roman win and have everybody pissed off that Roman won. But yeah, to give Drew the visual and the screw job and everything, it's like, oh man. And look, the aftermath didn't help. I don't know if the feed was supposed to be cut or whatever it was supposed to be. That shit didn't help either. Regardless, it was a great match. Like that is one of those where if you were in the moment and you were feeling it, it's not going to be replicated on video because now you know how it ends. You know, Solo comes out and everything. But like in the moment, after all the buildup and just the environment and everything, when Drew had the near falls and the Solo screwing him and everything, like everybody bit on that stuff. Everybody was like, this is it for Drew. This is it. This is it. And yeah, everybody bid on stuff, and you can't replicate that. It's still a great match.
Yeah, action-wise, you've got to say it's probably upwards of 4-star. Like
right
in terms of the drama and stuff they create. In isolation, it's a great match. But you know, SB3 tells me this all the time, and I agree with it. Like a match can really only be as good as its finish, right? Like that kind of undercuts everything. And here, you like being in the arena, I can tell you, like, and it didn't fucking help with Tyson Fury deciding to sing. It was like everything, just all of the energy was sapped out of the arena. Like it wasn't just that he lost; it was like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's another good point there. You mentioned it earlier, Austin Theory. Another great use of Austin Theory here, coming down, getting knocked the shit out of. Yeah, and Tyson looks like he knocks the shit out of him as well. It looks great.
It does. I legit thought he had a concussion. I was like, oh, he's dead. Like he went stiff on that shot. I was like, oh yeah.
Fury is legit 6'9". Let's not forget. Like if he wants to put one on you, or it goes a little bit heavy, you're gonna fucking feel that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looked like it did. The fact that it looked great made the pop even greater. It was just there was so many good beats to that match, but I think I'm sticking with Jey Uso.
All right, so Jey Uso wins the gauntlet here. So Lesnar at SummerSlam, the last man standing, defeated Lesnar at WrestleMania 38. Edge, Money in the Bank, defeated last man standing with Lesnar. And then Kevin Owens, TLC. I'm trying to make sure I have my gauntlet rundown here. Okay, Daniel Bryan and Edge actually defeated Edge at Money in the Bank. Yes. And then Daniel Bryan and Edge beat Kevin Owens, TLC, beat Riddle, beat Cesaro at WrestleMania Backlash, beat John Cena at SummerSlam, and then Jey Uso defeated WrestleMania 37, Bryan on SmackDown, and then McIntyre at Clash at the Castle. I can't read my own notes here. What can you do? I always say, like, I can't read or write. I have no idea how I'm in this position that I'm in. And shit happens. So Jey Uso runs the gauntlet. That is the defining Roman Reigns match for you in this title run. Yes. And given your explanation on things, I can't argue with you. It would not be my choice, but I cannot argue with your reasoning for this, Alex. I will say that.
I'm elated. Yeah, I feel like if the question was different, like what is the the best bell to bell match or whatever, like you could phrase it differently and get different answers.
Right.
But I do feel like if we're talking about the most important match of Roman's run, or a defining match, I definitely do think it is this.
And again, that is fair. That is your opinion. And again, I cannot argue with how you have reasoned things here, Alex. Alex McCarthy, let everybody know where you're at, what you're doing, what's going on in your life.
You can get me on Twitter, the unticked version now. I really should apply for that again. Alex McCarthy 88. I think that's my handle. I originally did change it to another Daily Mail thing, and I thought, fuck you, Alex. You're going to be back in the same place next time you leave this job. So Alex McCarthy 88. I think it's Alex McCarthy IG on Instagram. But Monday nights, you'll catch me on Inside the Ropes with Monday Night Live alongside SB3, which Fightful Overbooked viewers will be very, very familiar of.
Yes,
my interviews still go up on Inside the Ropes. Talk Wrestling is still alive on a live support machine. We do one episode about every month right now. But there are plans afoot to keep that going. And otherwise, you'll just see me posting random stuff on Twitter. But I do have many interviews planned in the near future. Tony Khan's in London this week. I'm pushing. I'm pushing.
Good luck with that. Tell Tony I said hi. He has no idea who I am, thankfully. But
he's replied. He's replied a couple of
I know.
times.
He actually follows me on Twitter. He knows who I am, unfortunately. I don't like anybody who actually knows who I am. Like, I'm good where I'm at.
That's how I felt after the Roman thing when WWE was sharing it on their socials. I was like, fuck. Like all of these people that know who I am now. Well, they don't know. But you feel like they do.
Yeah. They quickly forget. It's a business of all right. Who fucked up most recently?
Luckily,
Louis Dangor will take the heat off you within.
Louis knows he's a good brother like that. The next night, luckily, CM Punk was like, right, I'm fixing to have a go at everyone. So that was fine.
Alex, I appreciate you doing this, guys. Appreciate you watching. Let us know what you think is the defining match in Roman Reigns' over 2-year-long title reign as the Universal Champion and now the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. We will catch you next time here on the Gauntlet.